So what would a healthy hive look like in terms of bee numbers outside?
20. If there's 20 or 15 to 20, you know the hive's very healthy. But
Is
it's
it
too
hovering or including the ones on the
These
tube?
are guards, all these hovering around, just the flyers, but because it's later in the day, it's 5 o'clock nearly, and it's not overly bright today because it's overcast, and it's past the peak of the day. You know, at this time of the day, you never get all the guards outside. About midday to about 3 o'clock, you'd get more guards.
Does the length of the tube indicate how healthy the hive is, generally speaking?
Yes, as well. It can be up to about 15 centimetres long, but generally this is about 2.5 centimetres, and it's like semi-perforated.
Yeah.
I've got this wire on here in case any children come along and try to lift the hive, or we've got a monkey.
And it instantly removes a finger.
We've got a capuchin monkey which would lift the nest up and smash it on the floor. So that piece of wire was there, and it's just a Heath Robinson set up just at the moment. But the shade, the bees need almost full shade, otherwise the hive can overheat. Hence that they're in this little building. Now, this is the lid held down with Posy
Why
drives.
do you use screws, not another clip? Because it needs to be really tightly down?
It wants to be tightly down because otherwise the parasitic flies and other insects like centipedes and ants particularly, ants
Sugar.
love sweet things, as we all know, so the only way they can get in is through the little hole at the front, and that's why the bees have that cone, that tube they make with resins and small amounts of mud and resin and mud and other materials, and it's got 3 holes in the lid, and you put vinegar in it, and it's for catching parasitic tiny little flies which if you spill honey in the beehive, the flies smell it and get in and lay eggs in the honey, and they kill the nest completely. So
they're attracted for flies.
They're attracted by vinegar, and you can put that in the bottle and put it close to a hive after you've been opening it. This is a new version of hive which they were experimented with in Tobago in the Caribbean island, because the main nest unit is here and the honey compartment is in the front. So when we take the lid off, we are only going to disturb the honey compartment. The front entrance is here, and the bees come in, and there's another
queen based.
The queen is in here with all the eggs. And also, when we lift this lid off, this lid they would have stuck down very firmly. So this lid I've got to prise off, and we're going to see when we lift it up now, we're going to see circular little pots of honey all the way along, hopefully, or at least in several places, and a lot of little bees.
Sticky, isn't it?
And they've, as I say, they've stuck it down, and that is a tube. There's not much honey in here at all because we've had so much cold weather.
Tell us about this tube here.
This tube we put sugar solution in for cold weather. So they don't eat all the honey. They eat the sugar solution,
so
what's in here.
The honey reserves
The honey
goes
right down. There's practically no honey in this hive. This is where they come in. They come in, and their tube is along here. And I've just ruined their entrance.
So the tube is here.
Yeah, and they come in there, and then they go into the nest, which is right back here.
So the nest is in. This is just an entranceway to the nest. Then.
Yes, and what's happening here? They've probably got honey in the nest there as well, because there's hardly any honey outside here. There are a few honey pots, but very few.
So tell us about the properties of this particular type of honey. What do people like it for?
Well, this honey supposedly is very good for eye infections. People here in Bolivia and South America swear by its properties to cure eye infections.
Now, this seems very.
This is pollen.
Right, that's pollen.
This is pollen. These are bits of pollen in here, which I won't open because and here looks like
where's
pollen.
The actual honey? Just this little bit here.
The only honey I can see is here and here and here.
Oh, within
these are small honey pots. Now, because we've had a lot of cold weather, they haven't produced much honey. And as I said, they've probably mainly got the honey in the nesting compartment at the back here. But we'll open another box and see if it's better. 50% brown sugar and 50% water, boiled until it sort of dissolved, and it's a little tube, roughly 9 centimetres long, with cotton wool at each end. And this is for cold. When there's cold weather, the bees don't go out and look for honey and pollen and nectar, so they stay in the hive. The temperature should be around 30 degrees centigrade at all times, so you shouldn't open this hive when we get a cold wind coming through and we get cold conditions. So I'll place this back in there. We'll have a look at this hive. This is relatively new. These have been in this hive about 2 months, these bees. And as I say, we've had lots of cold weather, so there might not be too much honey in here. And they've stuck the lid down rather well. And the nest
is a different type of design compared to the other.
Yeah, this is the original design, which, as you see, when I lift this up, perhaps the nesting compartment is stuck to the roof. And if we're lucky, we might see the queen, and we'll see where the eggs are laid horizontally. Yes, we are indeed. We're ruined.
Where's the queen?
The queen could be anywhere there, but here is some honey here.
Oh, this is very interesting. So we have a honey compartment's point.
All these are honey compartments on this side.
Yes.
And here there's pollen and honey here. And can you hold that lid up?
Is that a nesting compartment in the middle?
Yes, that's
Where's the queen?
Can you see her? Okay, hold that there and don't let it come down. I'm just going to suck some honey out of these.
Zoom this out a bit. There we go. So why are you using a syringe?
So I don't get any honey spillage, because you will get parasitic flies which will ruin the whole hive very quick. In 3 days it will be a wet mass of maggots, and all the bees will die.
So that's why it needs to be sort of almost airtight, apart from big enough for them to go in, but nothing else. How big of a parasitic fly is the same size as them?
About 4 times smaller, and they're very fast and black and shiny.
So this makes it basically sustainable, because they just keep filling those pods back up full of honey.
Yeah, they will.
Sucking a bit up, there's not much of it.
It's very poor. So what I'm going to do here, with this flat square knife, I'm going to lift some of this honey here. Oh, I'm spilling some, but just that amount, and that's out.
Right.
Okay.
Close it.
Close it again. Light here.
So some of these are workers and some of these are flightless bees.
Yeah, the workers. Yeah, that is all. This is particular to this type of bee, and they always make these different round pots about the size of a peanut.
And they don't sting at all, do they?
No, stingless bees. They're called. The local name is Senorita.
I see. The honey's extremely sweet, I imagine. I'm going to try some.
Yes, it is. And it's very liquid honey. It's not like this very solid.
It's been probably one of the nicest tasting things I've ever had.
Yeah.
It almost tastes vanilla-y, doesn't it? I think.
Does it? I haven't tried it.
Extremely sweet. It's like maple syrup almost, but less. That is really. That is very, very nice indeed. So medicinal as well as edible.
Yeah.
As well as, food. It's good.